Rest is misunderstood. In a culture that worships exhaustion, slowing down looks like weakness. Being calm is mistaken for being passive, and rest is treated like something you earn only after you're broken. The Stoics saw it differently. They understood that power doesn't come from constant pressure. It comes from inner order, from knowing when to withdraw, regulate, and return with clarity. Marcus Aurelius faced war, betrayal, and endless responsibility, yet he trained his mind to remain steady, not frantic. Not because life was easy, but because control was essential. Real rest is not escape, it is preparation. When your nervous system is calm, your focus sharpens. Your reactions slow, your decisions carry weight. In this video, you'll learn how to rest like a Stoic. Not to become softer, but to become calm, focused, and dangerous when it matters. Stay with me. 1. You're not tired, you're dysregulated. What you're feeling isn't real exhaustion, it's loss of regulation. True tiredness comes from effort followed by recovery. What most people live with today is something else entirely. A nervous system that never stands down, always alert, always reacting, always scanning for the next message, problem, or threat. This state feels productive, but it's not. It's corrosive. When your nervous system is constantly activated, your mind loses hierarchy. Everything feels urgent, every emotion feels justified, every impulse demands action. That's not strength, that's exposure. The Stoics understood that the first thing to protect is not your schedule or your reputation, but your inner command center. If you cannot regulate your reactions, you don't own your actions. And if you don't own your actions, so you're not in control, no matter how busy you look. Notice how dysregulation shows up. You overthink small things. You snap faster than you should. You replay conversations you should have let die. You feel on edge, even during rest. That's the sign. Not weakness, not laziness, but a system that never learned how to return to neutral. A Stoic doesn't aim to feel good all the time. He aims to feel stable. Because stability is leverage. When your inner state is calm, you see more clearly. You choose more deliberately. You respond instead of react. This is why calm people often feel intimidating without trying. They don't rush. They don't explain themselves under pressure. They don't leak energy. They wait, and waiting, when done from control, is power. Modern culture rewards stimulation. The Stoic trains regulation. And that difference changes everything. Rest, in this sense, is not sleep. It's not entertainment. It's not distraction. It's the deliberate act of bringing your system back under command. Think of it like this. A blade that is constantly striking without being resharpened doesn't become deadlier. It becomes dull. Stillness is the sharpening stone. When you rest correctly, you're not stopping the fight. You're resetting your position. This is why unregulated people mistake calm for weakness. They confuse noise with force, motion with progress, but pressure without control always collapses. The Stoic approach is different. You step back not to quit, but to regain precision. You slow your breathing, you reduce input, you allow your mind to settle, not because you're done, but because you're preparing. And a calm nervous system doesn't make you passive, it makes you selective. And selectivity is dangerous, because when you act cleanly. When you speak once. When pressure hits, you don't fragment, you hold. That's why this comes first, before discipline, before focus, before power. Regulation is the foundation. If you skip it, everything else leaks. Remember this line. A calm nervous system is a tactical advantage. Without it, you're not tired. You're exposed, and the Stoic never fights exposed. 2. Rest is a discipline, not an escape. Rest becomes dangerous only when it is controlled. Unstructured rest weakens people. Disciplined rest strengthens them. Most people rest by numbing themselves. They scroll, they binge, they distract. That isn't recovery, it's avoidance. The Stoics never confused rest with indulgence. They understood that stepping away from action only has value if it restores order, never if it dissolves it. This is where modern thinking collapses. People believe rest means letting go. But letting go without structure doesn't bring peace, it brings drift. A Stoic rests the way a general withdraws troops, with intention, timing, and purpose. Not because the battle is over, but because chaos burns resources faster than resistance. Discipline does not disappear when you stop working. It simply changes form. In fact, on how you rest reveals how much control you truly have. If you cannot stop consuming, if silence makes you uneasy, if stillness feels like punishment, you are not resting, you are escaping. Marcus Aurelius warned against this kind of weakness, not physical weakness, but inner disorder. He didn't retreat into pleasure to recover from stress, he retreated into clarity. That difference matters. Disciplined rest does three things. First, it removes unnecessary input. Your mind cannot reset while constantly absorbing noise. Every notification keeps the nervous system partially engaged. True rest demands reduction, not replacement. Second, it restores hierarchy. When everything is loud, nothing is important. Rest allows priorities to reassert themselves. What matters rises. What doesn't fade. Third, it prepares action. Stoic rest is forward-facing. It sharpens intention. It doesn't dissolve it. This is why disciplined people don't feel guilt when they rest. They know exactly why they're doing it. Guilt comes from ambiguity. Clarity removes it. If you don't know why you're resting, your mind will accuse you of laziness. If you do know, rest becomes part of your duty. That is the Stoic frame. Rest is not a reward, it is maintenance. Just as a craftsman cleans his tools, just as a soldier maintains his weapon, the Stoic maintains his nervous system. Not emotionally, strategically. This is what separates those who collapse under pressure from those who grow heavier, steadier, and more dangerous with time. Discipline in action builds capacity. Discipline in rest preserves it. Lose either, and strength decays. Remember this. If your rest makes you weaker, it wasn't rest. And if it makes you clearer, calmer, and harder to move, it was discipline. The Stoic doesn't disappear when he rests. He consolidates, and that consolidation is where power accumulates. 3. Stillness is where power returns. Power does not return in motion. It returns in stillness. This is where most people get it wrong. They believe momentum is created by doing more. More thinking, more planning, more consuming, more reacting. So even when they rest, their mind keeps moving. That isn't recovery. That's friction without direction. The Stoics understood that stillness is not empty space. It is the space where order reforms. When external input stops, something important happens internally. Your mind begins to sort. Noise drops away. False urgency loses its grip. This is why stillness feels uncomfortable to the undisciplined. In silence, there is nothing to hide behind. No stimulation, no distraction, no escape, only you and the state of your inner world. Most people avoid this because it exposes imbalance, racing thoughts, unresolved tension, unacknowledged fear. But the Stoic doesn't flee that moment. He uses it because stillness reveals leverage. When you stop feeding the nervous system constant input, your attention sharpens naturally. You notice patterns instead of fragments. You see consequences instead of impulses. You recognize what deserves energy and what never did. This is where power quietly returns. Not emotional power, not dominance over others, but self-command. A person who can sit in stillness without agitation cannot be rushed easily, cannot be baited easily, cannot be overwhelmed easily. That is dangerous. Marcus Aurelius wrote his most grounded reflections not in comfort, but amid war and responsibility. Stillness, for him, was not about peace. It was about alignment. He didn't need silence around him, and he cultivated it within. That distinction matters. External calm is temporary. Internal calm is portable. When stillness becomes a skill, you carry it into chaos, into pressure, into conflict, and suddenly, situations that overwhelm others become manageable. This is why calm people often seem slow, but always arrive first. They don't waste force. They don't scatter attention. They strike when timing is clean. Stillness restores timing. Without it, you act too early, too late, or for the wrong reasons. With it, decisions simplify. You stop forcing outcomes. You start selecting actions. This is not passive, it's precise. A sharpened blade doesn't move constantly. It waits. Stillness is the sharpening process. 10 minutes of true stillness, no phone, no input, no mental rehearsal, can restore more clarity than hours of shallow rest. Because it resets the nervous system instead of feeding it. This is why Stoic rest prioritizes absence over replacement. No stimulation is more powerful than better stimulation. Silence recalibrates the mind. And once recalibrated, you move differently. You speak less, but with weight. You react slower, but with accuracy. You feel less urgency, but more certainty. That combination unsettles people because they sense control. Remember this. Stillness doesn't weaken momentum. It realigns it. And aligned momentum is what makes calm men dangerous. Not because they are aggressive, but because they are exact. Power returns when noise ends, and the Stoic knows how to end noise on command. 4. The Stoic way to rest without losing momentum. One of the deepest fears people carry is this: if I slow down, I'll fall behind. That fear keeps them tense. It keeps them moving when they should be resetting, and eventually, it costs them more momentum than rest ever could. The Stoics approached this differently. They never asked, "How do I stay busy?" They asked, "How do I stay effective?" Momentum, in the Stoic sense, is not speed. It is direction maintained over time, and nothing destroys direction faster than exhaustion disguised as discipline. Here is the critical reframe. Rest does not interrupt momentum. Misaligned effort does. When you push while unfocused, you drift. When you act while dysregulated, you waste force. When you continue while unclear, you move, but not forward. Stoic rest exists to correct that. And it is not passive recovery, it is recalibration. Think of it as returning the compass to true north. The Stoic rests across 3 dimensions, each intentional, each controlled. First, the body. A tired body lies to the mind. It exaggerates threats, it shortens patience, it reduces tolerance. Stoic rest respects physical limits without indulging weakness. Sleep is protected. Movement is restorative, not punishing. The body is treated as an instrument, not an enemy. Second, the mind. This is where most people fail. They rest physically while flooding the mind with stimulation. News, entertainment, arguments they don't need to have. That is not mental rest. That is mental consumption. Stoic rest removes input. It does not replace it. No scrolling, no background noise, no rehearsing imaginary conversations. Just space. In that space, thought slows naturally. Clarity resurfaces without force. You stop feeding urgency, and urgency starves. Third, identity. This is the layer almost no one touches. True rest reconnects you with why you act in the first place. Not goals, not metrics, values. Who am I becoming? What deserves my effort? What no longer does? Without this layer, rest feels pointless. With it, rest becomes grounding. This is why Stoic rest doesn't feel like drifting. It feels like consolidation. You don't lose your edge when you rest this way. You refine it. After proper rest, decisions take less effort. Reactions soften. Focus returns without force. You don't need motivation. You have alignment. This is what people misunderstand. They believe momentum must be maintained through constant motion. But constant motion without alignment creates chaos. Stoic momentum is quieter, heavier, harder to stop. It's the kind that allows you to pause without panic, to wait without anxiety, to resume without hesitation. If stopping scares you, it's because you're relying on pressure, not purpose. Pressure collapses when released. Purpose doesn't. Rest exposes the difference. Remember this: if rest makes you anxious, you are being carried by urgency. If rest makes you clearer, you are being carried by direction. The Stoic rests to preserve direction, and direction, maintained over time, is unstoppable. 5. Calm is what makes you dangerous. Under pressure, pressure reveals who is in control. When stakes rise, most people speed up. They talk more, they explain more, they react faster, and in doing so, they give away power. The Stoics understood something most never learn. Calm is not the absence of force, it is the command of it. Under pressure, the calm person doesn't freeze. He doesn't rush either. He stabilizes. This is why calm feels intimidating. It creates asymmetry. When one person is regulated and the other is reactive, the outcome is already decided, not because of intelligence, not because of authority, but because of control. In negotiations, the one who can pause holds leverage. In conflict, the one who doesn't escalate dictates tempo. In crisis, the one who remains composed becomes the anchor. Calm is not a personality trait. It is a trained state, and that state is built through correct rest. When you consistently return your nervous system to baseline, pressure stops feeling like threat. It becomes information. You notice tone instead of taking offense. You read intent instead of reacting to words. You see options where others see urgency. This is why the Stoics trained indifference to externals. Not because externals don't matter, but because panic distorts judgment. A calm mind processes reality cleanly. That cleanliness is dangerous, because clean perception leads to precise action. Consider how people behave when stressed. They overcommit, they bluff, they leak emotion. A calm person does none of this. He speaks when there is advantage. He waits when there is none. He exits when others double down. That restraint unnerves people, not because it's aggressive, but because it's unpredictable. You cannot rush someone who isn't anxious. You cannot corner someone who isn't desperate. You cannot manipulate someone who doesn't need your approval. Calm breaks the usual social dynamics. This is why calm men are often labeled cold. In reality, they are simply unhooked. They don't feed off chaos. They don't absorb emotional contagion. They don't mirror stress back into the room. They absorb it and neutralize it. That is dominance without noise. The Stoics believed the highest form of power was self-rule. Everything else was secondary. When you rest correctly, you train self-rule daily. You teach your system that it doesn't need to respond to everything. You prove to yourself that urgency is optional. You reinforce the habit of choice. Over time, this compounds. The pressure that once overwhelmed you becomes manageable. Situations that once demanded reaction now invite strategy. You don't become passive, you become selective. And selectivity is what separates force from chaos. Remember this: Anyone can react under pressure. Only the disciplined can remain calm, and the disciplined, when they finally move with an accuracy that makes others hesitate. That is why calm, in the Stoic sense, is dangerous. 6. Daily Stoic rest rituals. Simple, ruthless, effective power is not built in theory, it is built in repetition. The Stoics didn't rely on motivation to remain steady. They relied on ritual. Not elaborate routines, not wellness theatrics, but small, repeatable acts that restored order daily. Because regulation that happens occasionally collapses under pressure. Regulation that happens consistently becomes automatic. Stoic rest works the same way. Here are the core rituals. Not soft, not emotional, just effective. The first ritual is end-of-day shutdown. Most people end their day physically tired but mentally unfinished. Loose conversations, unanswered tension, thoughts still looping. This keeps the nervous system partially activated through the night. The Stoic closes the day deliberately. Before sleep, you stop input. No stimulation. No planning tomorrow. No reviewing mistakes emotionally. You ask one question only. Did I act according to my standards today? Not success, not outcome. Standards. If yes, rest. If no, note it without judgment and rest anyway. This trains the mind to release control without guilt, and guilt is what keeps most people wired. The second ritual is no stimulation stillness, 10 to 20 minutes. No phone, no music, no content. Just sitting, breathing naturally, letting the system downshift. At first, this feels pointless, then uncomfortable, then essential. Because this is where regulation actually happens. You're not trying to think, you're not trying to relax. You're allowing the nervous system to return to baseline. This practice rewires your relationship with urgency. You stop treating every sensation as a signal to act. Over time, as your default state lowers, and a lower baseline means higher tolerance under stress. The third ritual is intentional recovery days, not collapse days, not indulgence days. Recovery with boundaries, light movement, limited input, no performance. This is where many disciplined people sabotage themselves. They feel guilt for not doing enough. The Stoic does not negotiate with guilt. He understands that recovery is not time lost, it is capacity preserved. A single, well-executed recovery day can restore weeks of degraded focus. Because rest compounds forward. The fourth ritual is selective withdrawal. Not every situation deserves your energy. Not every conversation deserves your response. Stoic rest includes choosing when not to engage. You leave earlier. You answer less. You stop explaining. This reduces friction before it accumulates. Friction is what exhausts people, not effort. These rituals are boring by modern standards. That's why they work. They don't stimulate, they stabilize. And stability is what creates endurance. Over time, something shifts. You don't need to force calm. You return to it naturally. Your reactions slow without suppression. Your attention sharpens without effort. Your presence gains weight. This is the real payoff. Not comfort, not relaxation. Command. Remember this. Rest that requires motivation will fail. Rest that is ritual becomes power. The Stoic does not rest when he feels like it. He rests because he understands leverage, and leverage, used daily, makes you dangerous for a very long time. 7. Why most people never learn to rest and stay weak. Weakness isn't caused by lack of effort, it's caused by avoidance. Most people never learn how to rest because rest exposes them. Silence removes their armor. Stillness strips away distraction. And what's left is the truth. Unresolved resentment, unclear direction, a life moving faster than it should. So they stay busy. not because they are disciplined, but because motion keeps them from noticing what's misaligned. Busyness becomes anesthetic. The Stoics saw this clearly. They warned that a life without inner order will always seek out a noise. If you cannot sit alone with your thoughts, you're not driven, you are fleeing. This is why many ambitious people secretly fear rest. When they stop moving, anxiety surfaces. When they go quiet, doubt speaks. Instead of listening, they accelerate. But acceleration without clarity always leads to collapse. The disciplined path is harder. It requires you to face internal resistance without escaping it, to let discomfort rise without immediately numbing it, to remain present while the nervous system recalibrates. This is where strength is forged, not in intensity, in tolerance, tolerance for silence, tolerance for uncertainty, tolerance for not performing. Most people never build this capacity. They mistake stimulation for vitality. They confuse exhaustion with importance. They believe being needed means being valuable. The Stoic rejects this. He knows that value comes from precision, not presence everywhere. From acting when it matters, not constantly. Rest threatens fragile identities. If your worth depends on output, rest feels like erasure. And if your worth is internal, rest feels like reinforcement. That distinction decides who grows stronger with time and who erodes. This is why so many capable people plateau. They never recover fully. They never reset deeply. They operate perpetually at 70%, busy, anxious, replaceable. The Stoic refuses this fate. He steps away to see clearly. He rests to realign. He withdraws to return heavier, steadier, and harder to move. Remember this. If rest makes you uncomfortable, it's because you've been using motion to avoid alignment. Strength is not constant activity. Strength is the ability to choose activity or restraint without fear. Most never develop that choice, and so they remain reactive, scattered, and quietly weak. The Stoic rests not because he is tired, but because he refuses to live exposed. Weakness rarely looks weak. The more often, it looks busy, scheduled, overstimulated, constantly doing something. This is why it goes unnoticed. Most people never learn how to rest because rest removes their performance mask. And without that mask, they are forced to confront a question they've been avoiding. Who am I when I'm not producing? That question terrifies people. So they keep moving. They answer messages immediately. They fill every silence. They stack obligations until there is no space left to think. Not because life demands it, but because stillness would demand honesty. The Stoics understood that an unexamined inner life becomes restless on the outside. When values are unclear, action becomes compulsive. When identity is fragile, busyness becomes protection. This is why rest feels threatening to so many capable people. In rest, whilst there is no applause, no validation, no proof of worth, only presence. And presence exposes misalignment. If your life is pointed in the wrong direction, stillness makes that obvious. If you've been chasing approval, silence removes the audience. If you've been avoiding difficult decisions, rest brings them forward. So people stay stimulated. They convince themselves they're driven. But drive without direction is just pressure. The Stoic makes a hard distinction here. He does not measure strength by how much he can endure. He measures it by how little chaos he needs to function. Chaos dependency is weakness. If you need noise to feel alive, if you need urgency to feel relevant, if you need exhaustion to justify your existence, you're not strong. You are dependent, and dependence is exploitable. This is why people who never rest are easily manipulated. They overcommit. They react emotionally. They accept conditions they should reject. They have no baseline to return to. The Stoic does. because he practices rest before he is forced into it. Burnout humiliates people because it removes choice. Illness, collapse, resentment. These are not rest. They are consequences. Voluntary rest preserves dignity. Involuntary rest destroys it. This is a critical Stoic insight. The man who chooses restraint maintains authority over himself. The man who is forced into it loses momentum and confidence. Most people wait until life stops them. The Stoic stops himself, not out of fear, out of intelligence. He understands that without regulation, discipline decays. Without recovery, courage turns brittle. Without stillness, wisdom becomes noise. This is why Stoic rest is not soft. It is confrontational. It forces you to sit with unresolved thoughts, to feel emotions without dramatizing them, to notice patterns you've been outrunning. That process is uncomfortable, but clarifying, and clarity is strength. Over time, something shifts. You no longer need to prove productivity. You no longer panic in silence. You no longer chase stimulation to feel alive. You move when it matters. You stop when it doesn't. That selectivity is rare, and rarity creates power. Remember this: people who never rest are easy to exhaust, easy to rush, and easy to control. People who master rest become difficult to move, difficult to pressure, and difficult to replace. The Stoic chooses the second path, not because it feels good, but because it keeps him sovereign. And sovereignty, above all else, is what keeps a man from becoming weak over time. Rest is not the opposite of strength. It is the condition that makes strength sustainable. The Stoics never chased exhaustion as proof of virtue. They chased control. Control over attention, control over reaction, control over themselves. When you rest correctly, you don't lose ground. You reclaim command. Your mind quiets. Your nervous system settles. Your decisions regain weight. You stop reacting to everything. You stop explaining yourself under pressure. You stop mistaking urgency for importance. And in that calm, something changes. You become harder to rush, harder to manipulate, harder to break. Not because you withdraw from life, but because you return to it regulated, focused, and exact. Rest, done the Stoic way, is not comfort. It is preparation. It allows you to face chaos without absorbing it, to endure pressure without fragmenting, to act when it matters and remain still when it doesn't. That is real power. So don't rest to escape your life. Rest to realign with it. Rest until your mind is clear, until your reactions slow, until your presence carries weight. Because the most dangerous people are not always the loudest or the busiest. They are the ones who know how to rest and return with control. Calm is your advantage.